All right, click the links to join the channel here over at Subscribestar. I have a mailbox if you want to mail me some comics. Thanks to everyone who has mailed everything you've mailed. It's been amazing. So the short version of this is Comicsgate Phantom Menace. That community is having fun. And the anti-Comicsgate crowd, I guess it's left wing versus right wing. The Comicsgate is not really that far right. It's just not. They're just not SJWs, which even to say that triggers them. Like everything triggers them. They're the most miserable people. It's got to be exhausting being an SJW, where one little faux pas, one little misstep, you say one little slur that wasn't a slur 5 years ago, but it now is haram. Probably even say haram is haram. And you're canceled, or they have the passive aggressive. Yikes, my guy! Just, oh gosh, shut the f up, these people. So they're miserable. I mean, they're miserable. You look at the people on the anti-Confiscate, the Mark Wades, the Gail Simones, this idiot. Tell me they're happy when you look at this guy or Mark Wade. There's no friggin' way. Anyway, so what happened was this guy's name? Isabella. A virtue signaling soy boy idiot tries to get Eric July banned from San Diego Comic Con and from selling his comic. They're trying to cancel him because of wrong thing, because a couple different reasons. One, he's associated with the wrong people, which is Comicsgate and the Phantom Menace. Those extremely far right, toxic Star Wars and pop culture and comic book people, because the far right is deeply into pop culture, movies, and comics. That's their argument. That's that's how asinine. That's how deep in an echo chamber you have to be to look at the Comicsgate Phantom Menace crowd, and go, oh yeah, they're, you understand, these are extremists. They're just extreme chads pushing like this far Trump ideology. It's like, you think Trump is far right? In their world, everything that's not them is far right. So one of the things that upsets them is Eric July thinks that men are not women, which I agree with him on that sentiment. To a left-wing mindset, you have to agree with everything on the left, or you are a problematic wrong thinker desperately in need of being canceled. And right now, this trans thing is their hot new fad. It's at the top of the food chain. Even Dave Chappelle was getting a little ticked off that his group got pushed off the top. Actually, his group got moved down quite a bit because trans is at the top. Then there's that religion. Then Chappelle's gang is, I think, in third place. So yeah, I guess if I was Chappelle, I might be a little bit concerned about that. So it's or actually, you know what? They might be in fourth place, the Sunman community, because I think migrants are actually on top now. So they just keep getting moved further and further down the hierarchy. The thing is, but the thing is, to us, like, we know we're at the bottom anyway. So it's like it's all a moot point. It's sort of the left starting to eat itself. The reason trans is at the top is because anyone can identify as such. You can instantly become marginalized, oppressed, disenfranchised, and all those other Frankfurt School buzzwords. You don't have to actually experience anything negative, which I think was Dave Chappelle's point, which I disagree with him on a lot of things, but he might have had a slight point in that. It's like, so you're making yourself oppressed, but you can like turn it on or turn it off anytime you want. It's like people who make themselves obese. It's a weird position because all you have to do is, eat less. And I don't know if I can say that on YouTube. Anyway, it's an amazing cultural Bolshevik experiment, because they created this hierarchy that put themselves at the top of the hierarchy that they themselves created. I absolutely respect that level of grifting. All I do is beg for free comic books, which you can send to my mailbox, and pocket knives and flashlights and whatever else. Anyway, we're not sending you anything. I know. Anyway, imagine you got millions of kids who don't stand out in any way, just your standard morbidly obese American teenagers. All they have to do is add a little bit of lipstick and go on social media and fly their new flag, change their pronouns. Suddenly, they're at the center of attention. So, here's the this triggers them quite a bit. So this Isabella idiot, he's making vague comparisons to July, who's on the left, and Rittenhouse is on the right, being Hugo Boss from 70 years ago. because the only reason they provide is that he doesn't think sterilizing children, putting on cross-sex hormones and puberty blockers, and removing healthy functioning body parts. Removing elective surgery is called removing functioning body parts and destroying the function of the body electively, which means it's not medically necessary. Mr. July disagrees with that. It's like, yeah, we all disagree with that. It's the far left who thinks that's a good idea. I think probably 90% of America thinks this is a bad idea. Anyway, which I guess this Isabella idiot supports, and the entire left has to publicly support because they're canceled if they don't. If they don't support it, they just keep their mouth shut because the left is terrified of the far left. And the argument is that Eric July and his anti-child mutilation extremist alternative far right views that's an intolerable viewpoint to not want to hurt kids. It's like, isn't that just a normal viewpoint from like a few years ago? Yeah, that's how fast the window is shifting to deep into Weimar territory. Yes, this is Clown World. Enjoy your stay because I suspect this doesn't end peacefully. Oh, and this Isabel guy is triggered by Comicsgate for some reason. I don't know how much he knows about it. People are so triggered by it, and you go, hey, you don't listen to the shows, you don't watch any of the videos, and you don't buy the comic books. So what do you know about Comicsgate? Oh, I know what some other soy boy told me, and I trust them. Oh, they're all a bunch of far right, and they're attacking the marginalized, oppressed, and disenfranchised, and all this stupid stuff. And they go, but you don't actually know anything because you don't listen to the shows. Because if you listen to shows, like you just hear normal live streaming pop culture shows. Yeah, they believe whatever they're told to believe. Anyway, so Comicsgate is, in case you don't know, is a YouTube community where they sell comics, comic books, the superhero type of characters. That's it. But let me explain one of the reasons why these idiots are on their period about this. The left in general cannot allow alternatives to their worldview because the alternatives are always going to be better than whatever the left comes up with. That's why they have to censor and deplatform. They really cannot compete in the open marketplace of ideas. For example, imagine you took a state as an experiment, you divided it, and you let the far right run one half and the far left run the other. What exactly do you think would happen in a few years? It's the same with comics because it's different from movies. Comics people can create on their own for under 30 grand. You can get it crowdfunding, you can start your own business, and you're off to the races. And the funny thing is, the leftists on Twitter who are calling Eric July a Hugo Boss are admitting that ordinarily they would support independent businessmen competing with the giants of Marvel, DC, Image, and Dark Knight. But the mainstream has the right ideology. Their comics are nothing more than soy propaganda. And they're so bad, they're unreadable now. And Comicsgate is focusing on trying to sell what sells because they're trying to make $1 to, eat. So what the customer doesn't say they want. That's what they do on social media. They go, they say things like, take my money, shut up and take my money. I would buy this. And for some left-wing idea that they come out with some BLT comic and, Zur, furry, otherkin type of stuff. It's tons of support on Twitter, which is free. And then when they come out with the project, it's on Kickstarter and it gets like, $7,000. Like, where's all that support? We got 50,000 likes. What happened to the support? And like, support is free. Dude, support is free. They don't seem to realize it. It's like when Mags Osagio's got like 40,000 followers on social media, but when they try to sell something, it's so you're down to 900 copies by the 5th issue. It costs more money to print that than that's the way it works with comics. Anyway, the mainstream doesn't worry about that, because they're subsidized by the movie division, so they can just kind of put these comics out as an IP form. For example, of a difference in mindset, Kwanzaa had some tweets discussing what artists should be paid at Marvel for page rates, but they never discussed as a percentage of sales. They want them paid the same if the comic sells 10,000 copies or 100,000 copies. So they effectively want to socialize comics, which is absolutely great. I am all for the left wing accelerating all their insane ideas. They should absolutely unionize and set the standards for Marvel and DC. I'm sure an artist who's getting paid 300,000 a year is willing to drop down to 100,000 so lower selling artists can get paid more. They don't want to worry about sales. They openly want to push propaganda, even if it doesn't sell. I mean, that they want to be subsidized. They're absolutely okay with this. Comicsgate is a rejection of that mindset. It's more market driven rather than ideology driven, and it's not fair to compare Comicsgate to Marvel. It's been a billion-dollar company because Comicsgate is not a company; it's just a loose network. You'd have to compare it to left-wing indie comics like Kwanzaa, Ron Mars, and the rest. They do sell comics on their own websites and stuff. And I just checked Kwanzaa's Twitter. He's arguing. He argues with everyone. He's a guy who wrote Black that made 100,000, then the follow-up White that dropped down to 50,000. But his Twitter doesn't have any links to his comics on Amazon or his future crowdfund, so I'm not exactly sure what's going on there. Anyway, these people just cannot accept that you might have a difference of opinion. And the thing is that the tide has shifted on Comicsgate. Comicsgate is, what, 7, 8 years old by now, which is weird to think that much time has gone by. People want an alternative to the mainstream soy comics, and the horrible, horrible people involved, like the left wing, are the most intolerant. Hey, can we have diversity of thought? No, no, there's no tolerance for diversity of thought. Okay, are you sure you're on the left? It's like, yeah, I guess this is the true left all the time. These people hate Comicsgate for some reason, and some guy sat in his Kia, and he criticized comics. It's like, yeah, that's enough to hate Comicsgate and everyone associated with this loose network of people selling comics. That's really how they think. I mean, it's just as bizarre as it sounds. The thing is, they're against the idea of Comicsgate that people can simply not put far left cancer in comics. Not every comic book has to be propaganda for the far left. Like whatever current fad is popular in the left, it's like that's what you're going to see in the mainstream comics. To them, a comic is fascist propaganda if it doesn't follow a checklist of woke nonsense. You can take a comic where for 10 issues the good guy is fighting some blonde gang, and then you switch it around and they go up against a black gang. The Twitter soy boys and the cat ladies will lose their freaking minds. Even if you explain, this is keeping it balanced. This is fair treatment. This is fair to everyone. They don't want fair treatment. That's not the point of comics. Comics is only viable to them as propaganda to push whatever their beliefs are at the moment. And yeah, but the stories suck and they don't sell. It doesn't matter to them. Anyway, there's an energy behind Comicsgate. The mainstream doesn't have it. I mean, you can see it at Comicsgate crew. People are gonna they're gonna go to cons more and more. And these their tables are going to be more active because you can see it with everyone. Every once in a while they'll do Comicsgate people will do live streams at cons, and there's just way more energy behind Comicsgate people. They're just having more fun because they're just not miserable people like these SJWs. They spend their whole life looking for some faux pas that they can pick apart, and just they never forgive and they never forget. Especially if you're on the left. If you're on the left, if the left wingers trying to cancel right wingers is I mean, how do you do that? Because once you call them a Hugo Boss, it's there's nowhere to go from there. There's no super duper Hugo Boss. But the left wingers, they take more joy in canceling other left wingers because they can always take them down a peg. And then if they do something in the future, they can always remind them of it. I mean, they're the most passively aggressive, petty, vindictive. They're just horrible, horrible people. And all these Comicsgate people, they just want to sell their comics, and nobody's forcing the SJWs to buy the comics. It's no, we don't want anyone to read those comics. You guys were the authoritarian dictators the whole time, weren't you? Anyway, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next episode.